Jobs are always on the agenda. This week, IBTimes caught up with Stephen Barter from KPMG. They've got a very interesting report out this week with regards to the UK labour market. Thanks for coming in, Stephen. We've seen with the UK labour market, it's gone from strength to strength. We've got more than 30.2 million people in work. But I noticed in your report that there seems to be a skills shortage.
Yes, there are significant skill shortages, particularly in sectors like engineering, healthcare, construction, and increasingly in finance and accounting. And I think this is happening really because there's been so much downsizing during the recession that as the economy now begins to pick up, of course, the labour isn't immediately there, and companies are having to recruit, and that always takes time.
And with regards to recruitment, that relates to youth unemployment. Now, we've got a quite high rate of 19.1%. Now, do you think employers need to do more to help those young people back into work, back into the workplace?
Well, always. And I think anything to encourage apprenticeship schemes and early training, career opportunities is very welcome. But the real bottleneck is among the skilled and experienced labour force, the people that can get things done quickly and immediately. And that's where we seem to have a bit of a problem at the moment.
And with regards to the bottleneck, I noticed that it's increasing salaries. What are the trends that you've noticed?
Yes, well, three things are happening. One is you've got the economy recovering and job growth, as you say, at a very fast rate, and vacancies also growing at a very fast rate, which is signalling employers' intentions, the people they do want to recruit. Partly because of skill shortages and other factors, we're seeing wage growth. And so having seen 5-6 years of falling real wages, we now have falling inflation and rising wages and real wage growth for the first time for 5 or 6 years, which again is a very positive sign, as we've all been feeling a bit miserable for the last few years. But then the skills shortages are hindering the growth in production, inevitably, and productivity. And it's productivity growth that we really want to see, because that has the multiplier effect on GDP. And so not only do we want to see more increase in job opportunities, faster training, bringing these skills online faster, if at all possible, but we also want to see business investment in plant and machinery and the equipment that supports the jobs to improve productivity.
And with regards to productivity and hindering growth, I mean, how important is this? How much can it stop the UK economy from growing?
Well, inevitably demand is growing, and so for certain industries, particularly manufacturing, but it also affects construction as well. The growth in productivity has an investment, has the multiplier effect on output, and it's growth in output that we need to see.
And with regards to just moving away from permanent labour, I noticed some recent trends in the ONS figures that there's 1.4 million people on 0-hour contracts, which was very interesting. Now, what trends are you noticing with temporary labour?
Well, temporary labour picked up ahead of permanent labour as companies began to test the water. It's still growing, but at a slightly slower pace because there's been a conversion to wanting now full-time employers. But quite clearly, companies are having to be pragmatic, and if they can't get the skills they want as permanent labour, they're having to get at them as temporary labour. I think part of it is also to do with labour mobility. There seems to be a mismatch between skills and location. And this is partly because of where the jobs were shed during the recession, but it's also that inertia which says, I have a mortgage, I have a home, I have children at school, I can't just easily uproot and move somewhere different. We also think there's been some reluctance on the part of employees to move, initially because of uncertainty about the recession, about the pace of recovery, but also potentially because of canny employers starting to pay the people they want to keep a little more to encourage them to stay. And that is why we seem to have a bit of a puzzle, because we have wage growth, job employment growth, vacancy growing, but we have our measure of availability, which is people putting themselves forward for work, actually falling, and has been falling quite sharply for the last 3 or 4 months.
So what would your message be to employees, that they should feel more confident, maybe think about moving to find those jobs?
Yes, I think confidence is at the heart of all of this. We know that companies have cash on their balance sheets, they have the capacity to invest. There's more loan finance available, although that is another debate. But there is money there to invest. And it's really about the chief executive waking up one morning and saying, right, now is the time to make my commitment. We're seeing early signs of that. The CBI is very bullish about corporate investment over the next 12 months, a significant increase from previous years. And that's the kind of confidence turning into investment, turning into productivity, turning into growth that we want to see.
So as we look into the future, what would be your overall summary? Is it a positive one? Is it a negative one? Or are you quite agnostic as to where the UK economy will be?
No, I think we're very encouraged. I think inevitably some of this is teething problems in a recovering cycle. The skills shortages and the early increases in wages. Clearly, longer term, one wants to see inflation low. One wants to see wage growth controlled, not roaring away. And one wants to see increasing investment by employers in skills, in training. We want to see the universities turning out more of the graduates where there are job opportunities, particularly in things like engineering, which Britain is very good at. Britain is very good at technology too, and there's strong demand in the media and IT sectors too. So we're very well placed, I think, to be very competitive. We just need to do more of it.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Thank you.